January the 12th, 2025. Guys, you're looking at live camera images of Castro Peak. This is in California. You're looking out over the Pacific Ocean. For the last few days, this particular webcam, and it's from Alert, California, has had a lot of smoke in it. Today it doesn't. Let me back this out just a moment. This is all coming from the University of San Diego. And here's 6 different views. These 3 are towards the ocean, and this one starts to turn, and then these are looking back. See these 2 on the edge? So let's just go right here and look back. It's the first time all of this area has been clear of wildfire smoke. Now you see the haze, and there's some drifting smoke and things like that. But right now, I don't see anything on the satellites. We're going to take a look at it again. And they're still saying the Palisades fire is 11% contained. I'm starting to get concerned that the fires may be very close to going out now. I said I was going to wait till 2 o'clock, and that's when the wind alerts were going to come up for California. It's 4 o'clock here now, or 4:14 p.m. It's 2:14 there on the West Coast. I wanted to wait till the end because, again, the high wind alerts started at 2. And that would stir up any of the coals and anything like that. But right now, I just saw a 10-minute helicopter scan of the area. It's tremendous damage, but they never saw any live fire. So they're holding in the percentage of containment. Again, the Palisades at 11%, but there's no visible fires. So I guess they're being careful. And I saw a lot of service trucks and it was coming from a helicopter view, coming into some of those areas, and there was like 20 or 30. I don't know if they were gas, electric, plumbing, or whatever it was, but there was a lot of service trucks going in there, I guess maybe to check the gas, see what was safe or whatever. But guys, they would not let the people into Brentwood. They had promised them yesterday afternoon that they were going to open Brentwood up this morning, so people started lining up at 4 o'clock and earlier this morning, early before sunrise, They wanted to get back and look at their homes. Some wanted to just see if it was there. Some needed their medicine and everything. And so it started out the day with the LA Police Department. They were escorting one car at a time back up in there. They were they're saying they're trying to prevent looting, right? And they don't want anybody to get in danger from falling lines or gas leaks, whatever. They did that for a few hours, and then they got a call. I was checking out the report to stop that. And so all these people, they were really angry. They had been out there since 4 o'clock in the morning. Some had gotten in, most hadn't. There was still a long line outside that Brentwood sign. Now, what I hope we're not seeing is this Lahaina effect, that what happened in Hawaii, you guys, because this was massive. I could put a link to that video if I put it up somewhere, but it would be 10 minutes of silent boredom except for the utter devastation in the valleys below here. But again, you can go all through this area and check all the webcams, and you're seeing the same thing, maybe a little haze, but not much smoke. Let's take a look at the satellite images. Now let's take a satellite look at the nation. Again, 4:17 p.m. now. You can see where it's changing to infrared as the sun sets over to your left in the west. But right in here, we've been seeing a lot of smoke even from this view. So, and I'm going to zoom it in, but guys, I'm really concerned that they're starting to block people out. Now, this is a huge area, though, and start denying them access. And when they start that, this is not it wasn't a small community in Hawaii, Lahaina. This is much larger, a lot more people involved, and I don't know if they're going to try to pull the same thing off. Hell, we don't know if another country from across the Pacific owns half of California. They have most of the assets of the ports already, and for at least 45 years or so, they've run the hotels and everything there in California. I've been in Huntington Beach back then, and the hotels were basically Chinese. Now, I think that may be tied into Newsom and Pelosi, but it seems like all of that group of higher up politicians along in the West, in California, excuse me, and some of the other states are very close to China. Half of them are married to Chinese, the other half have sold out and taken money. And now the devil is calling the card up, calling that bill due. And so they're going to be forced at this point to show themselves. In other words, I think you're going to start to see that evil rise up in them, just like we've seen in other situations. In other words, you sell out to the devil, he's, for whatever reason, I'll make you a great musician, I'll make you a great movie star, I'll make you a very wealthy politician. You just do what I say, but I'm going to call out one day, and I'm going to call this loan basically due. It's time to pay up. And the devil doesn't need money. But what he wants is to suddenly force you into the situation. I'm talking to the politicians, some of the bankers, into denying everything. In other words, you can't have excess. You don't need your money. And what that's going to do is create the chaos that the devil wants, but at the same time, it's going to expose the demons that have sold their soul to him. Let's pull this up a little closer. Now, this is the image close up right here, Southern California. You don't see anything. I don't see anything now. Earlier, as the sun was rising, you could see some very light wisp coming out, like a fog almost. But in the last few days, you saw maybe 1 or 2 or 3 trails, heavy smoke coming through here. You've seen it, just like the wildfires around the nation. But it's not there now. That's the point I wanted to come in and make of this video. Now, it is 2:21 as we're speaking now, and I still don't see any smoke. They're expecting the winds coming out of the Santa Ana to be picking up about this time. Now, I did record about an hour or so ago one screenshot of the current wind situation, so it's probably added by then. But guys, we may be very close to seeing the end of it, but they're still putting up, again, 11% containment on the Palisades. Remember the blue fencing, or the black fencing, that went up around Lahaina in Hawaii? Nobody could see what was going on. Is that what they're about to do here, or is it going to be some people are saying 15-minute cities? Guys, they're not going to put any money into this, unless it's got to do with the elite or their factories or manufacturers, especially AI. And there's resources underground there. And one of my huskies are in there barking, wants another snack. But anyway, this entire area is going to be like another Hawaii, I think. But it's going to be so many people involved in such a large scale. Can they contain it like they could the smaller village there or smaller city there in Hawaii? Could it be contained? Will the violence erupt? That's how the devil plays. He doesn't want the money. He wants the destruction of your life after you sold your soul. And he's going to call it up. And that's what's about to happen. And we've got 7 days starting in the morning for possible changes. So we're seeing more and more money going overseas, more and more laws being passed. And it's kind of stupid to pass the laws to me right now because, of course, Trump can change that in just a week or two. But some of this money being sent, arms being sent, would be hard to rectify and get all that back in place. But guys, pay very close attention to this. Now, it's, again, 2:23 there. The winds are supposed to be picking up before we lose satellite imaging for this afternoon. I'm going to look back over here and we're going to see if the winds are stirring it up. It's a blessing if they're not. And right now it looks like they're getting a tremendous break and they need it. I'm worried about what the demons are doing right now and how they're going to react. Again, you should have seen the line and these were you had some Mercedes and BMWs, and it wasn't a poor neighborhood in the Brentwood entrance that I saw. They had plenty of money. They would probably stay in some of the nicer hotels around there, but they wanted back in to see their stuff, and they're not letting them, not even to get their medicine now. So someone upstairs is calling that down to the local police forces. Shut it down. We'll see, but right now, And let's look, I'll tell you what, let's look at the latest map and see where the fire restrictions are and things like that. That should be updated by now. Now, this is a 3D map. You can kind of scan back or forward. This is the entire valley. We've had several fires. The biggest one, of course, a Palisades fire. And the second one was right here, guys. Right there, the Eaton fire. We watched it burn up the mountain, almost got up to the towers and everything yesterday. Remember that? But notice that you've got in this area that's kind of pinkish right there, you've got evacuation orders. You've got, let me pull this up. Evacuation orders all along this area, but there's no fire there. And you can click on these, get your webcam. I will link to this 3D map. And you got the orders, you got the warnings. In other words, if you're in a warning, be prepared at any time. But when you get into the pink areas, that's an order. I don't know if, this map was updated an hour and 12 minutes ago. So I don't know how much updated information has gotten to the map makers or not yet. But here's your Eaton fire, 13,991.6 acres. Again, no smoke, visible smoke from the satellites coming up from this area. Now, you've got evacuation warnings out here, orders, watches, the whole thing, but they're not letting people back into a lot of these areas. And it's starting to look, again, like what we saw possibly in Ohio and Hawaii. Now, the big one here, you scroll down here, you got your Palisades fire. The orange areas here, evacuation orders. And this, guys, some of the beach houses, and one of the famous ones, even though it probably wasn't even filmed near there back in Hollywood, was 2.5 Sons with Charlie Sheen and that bunch, and probably some Diddy group. But remember that they were on the beach there, and all of those houses are gone. So, again, orange area, evacuation orders. I think some of these are being opened up, guys, but again, I could put the video up, but it's 10 minutes of no sound. It would be very boring. But a helicopter started back in this area and started scanning back and forth. And you know how they do the overlays of the maps from the helicopters, tell you where it's at, the roads, and it changed and gave you the name of all the subdivisions and the streets and everything like that. It is devastating in a lot of areas. Even though there's no smoke right now, the damage has been done. So I think we're about to see the demons make their play. But again, this is a lot larger area, and you got the Hearst fire up here, right there. 8-mile-an-hour gusts, you're just not seeing the effects of it right now. But I think they're going to start laying down almost a martial law type effect. Now, we talked about another thing, food and water. We're starting to see, the last few days, these food shelters pop up. How long can that go on? How long can the local motels that aren't affected, when they get their power back on, how long can that go on? How long can it go on without power, which pumps water, right? How long can this Hawaii, we'll say a macro effect, how long can that stand before we have a lot of problems? Think about it. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. Now is the time, even though we're seeing the fires out, here's where we got to pay attention to the moves of the deep state. They got 7 days. Now, I'm not saying after the 20th that there won't be a lot of creeping going on, but at least we'll have the people in power that can do something. Right now, they're pretty much, they're putting pressure on different people. We're starting to see that effect with Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Panama Canal. And what they're seeing is Trump is a businessman, and he's going to go tit for tat. You want this much money, we want this, or we want the territory. And now there's a movement inside of Greenland from the Trump effect to where he's saying we need Greenland, right, but it's a Danish supposed island or nation. But the Danes aren't taking very good care of it. The U.S. is doing most of it. And so the people there are kind of getting to the point to where they would rather be under a Trump U.S. nation control than they would a failing European control. Makes sense. Pretty good chess moves, by the way, and it doesn't look like they're going to be damaging to anyone. It's going to help the people of Greenland, help our nation, and make Europe realize control is over. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.